Welcome to Kiss and Tell Stories. Enjoy the story and have a great time listening. After half a year of dating my boyfriend, who is 8 years younger than me, I had spent nearly 500,000 yuan on him. One time, without hanging up the phone, I overheard him bragging to his roommate that I was an older woman who was very clingy and would never leave him. I didn't argue, but I made up my mind to find a new, more obedient boyfriend. Lucas and I were on a video call for about 10 minutes, when he started to get impatient. "Sis, I'm sleepy. Let's call it a night," he said. And without waiting for my reply, he hung up. But he forgot he was still on voice call, so I heard him talking to someone else. Hurry, let's team up. I've got a little sister waiting." His roommate teased him. "Is dating so tiring? Why don't you just break up?" Lucas laughed and replied, "She's too clingy, she won't let me go." It was clear he didn't want to leave me because he was after my money. I poured myself a glass of wine and continued to listen. His roommate persisted. "You never take her out. Is it because she's too old to show off?" Lucas didn't deny it. A notification sound rang, and he started a game, inviting a girl to play with him. The girl was very flirtatious, constantly praising his rare skin. Lucas generously offered, "Do you like it? I'll buy it for you." Of course, that was my allowance money. The game ended and the girl happily went to bed. The conversation in the dorm room resumed. Suddenly, someone spoke up. "William, what do you think?" "About what?" "About Lucas dating someone 8 years older." The room fell silent for a moment. Then a cold voice said, "8 years older? Even dogs wouldn't date like that." I was drawn to Lucas's voice when I chose him from all the other young men. But now I was distracted. William, I remembered that name. Lucas's roommate, rumored to be the school's heartthrob, quiet but very attractive to girls. Every time Lucas mentioned him, there was a hint of jealousy he couldn't hide. William was smart and handsome, the center of attention wherever he went. Compared to him, Lucas was just a sidekick. But ironically, William came from a poor family. Lucas's pride wouldn't allow him to be overshadowed by a poor guy. I didn't expect William to have such a voice, even more to my liking than Lucas's. It would be even more interesting if he was panting. I hung up the call, already having a plan in mind. If my little boyfriend isn't being good, then I'll just change him. I like dating younger guys. Firstly, because my work is busy, and I need some emotional value. And secondly, because young guys are full of vitality and I can enjoy that. Including Lucas, I've dated 11 of them, enough to make a soccer team. I've never been stingy with money when it comes to them. Just in the 6 months with Lucas, I spent nearly 500,000 yuan. All the brand name clothes he wears were bought by me. This amount of money is very important to him. It helps him show off at school and makes many beautiful younger girls admire him. But for me, it's just the cost of one less handbag. I give them money, they give me their energy. It's very fair. The only thing I didn't expect was that the little guy in front of me, who was always obedient and listened to me, secretly resented the age gap between us so much. Well, that's fine. I was getting bored anyway. It was Lucas's birthday weekend, and he held a party at my villa. I arrived late. Not until 9 p.m. The party had already been going on for a while, and the atmosphere was extremely lively. When I walked in, Lucas was being punished with push-ups for losing a game. But these weren't ordinary push-ups. A beautiful young girl was lying right underneath him, her hands shyly covering her face. Each time Lucas lowered himself, the distance between them was almost touching. The crowd around them excitedly cheered. "Kiss him. Kiss him. Lucas, can you do it?" Men can't stand such a challenge. Provoked, Lucas clenched his fists and lowered himself one last time. Their lips were almost touching. Click. The villa door opened. I stood there, witnessing the entire scene. The room suddenly went silent, all eyes on me. Lucas was stunned, his face, red from the alcohol, quickly turning pale. Sis, why are you here? This is my house, can't I come? Didn't you say you had to work overtime?" I smiled slightly, my tone gentle. I finished over time, so I came to wish you a happy birthday. I smiled, took off my red-soled high heels and leisurely walked inside. Someone whispered, "Lucas, isn't this house yours?" "Yeah, you said your parents bought it for you." Lucas pursed his lips, scrambling for an excuse. "Chew. She's my sister." I just smiled, not denying it. University students don't have too many schemes. After Lucas said that, everyone immediately happily made way for me. "Oh my God, Lucas, your sister is so beautiful. Why haven't I heard you mention her before?" "Lucas, your sister is way better than you. She looks like a celebrity." "Sister, there's an empty seat here. What kind of juice would you like me to pour for you?" "Thank you." I sat down and glanced at William. He and Lucas didn't get along. Lucas invited him here just to show off. William was pushed to a corner, not participating in the fun and not interested in anything. Soon, I joined the game. I was quickly called by the king. The king asked me to choose one of the guys. Here to perform a safe kiss. A safe kiss meant kissing through a card for 10 seconds. Lucas looked at me, his eyes full of conflict. He didn't want to publicly acknowledge our relationship, but couldn't bear to see me kiss someone else. He hesitated, wondering if he should step up to take the challenge. But I didn't pay attention to him. I calmly looked past Lucas and pointed at William. "You go." Lucas immediately jumped up. "No way." I raised an eyebrow. "Why not?" "You can't choose him. I'll do the challenge with you." I chuckled. "Don't be ridiculous. We're siblings. Wouldn't that be disgusting?" "Yeah, you're his brother." "Step aside." "Lucas, you don't have a sibling fetish, do you?" Everyone agreed. No one accepted his suggestion. I smiled faintly, pretending to be helpless. "Really, it's not right. Little brother, if Mom and Dad found out, they'd kill us." Lucas's face turned green, changing colors rapidly. He was the one who made up this lie, and now it was too late to take it back. Throughout the whole time, William didn't say a word until someone pushed him in front of me. He indifferently looked up, his lazy voice ringing in my ears. "You're not Lucas's sister." He leaned close, his voice low, just enough for me to hear. "You're his girlfriend." I smiled calmly, meeting his gaze. "You know?" I slowly raised an eyebrow. "So, do you find it exciting?" William chuckled softly. "I have no interest in other people's girlfriends. It's enough as long as I'm interested in you." His eyes flashed with surprise, but I didn't give him a chance to react. I clamped the card between my lips, then gently kissed it. "Lucas, from now on, William is your brother-in-law." After the game ended, the crowd cheered in unison. Lucas clenched his fists, his eyes darkened as he stared at me and William. Then, as if wanting to retaliate, he kept having his underlings drink and deliberately flirted with that girl to make me see, thinking I would feel uncomfortable. How naive. Lucas still didn't understand that in this relationship, he had no say. The birthday party ended and I bluntly suggested breaking up. Lucas turned red with anger. "Amelia, you did this on purpose tonight, didn't you? You know I hate William the most." I smiled faintly. "You can play with your underlings, so why can't I play with your roommate?" She didn't know anyone at the party today. I just wanted to help her fit in. "I should do that." I raised an eyebrow, my tone indifferent. "Don't insult people with social anxiety. If they really had it, they wouldn't be under a guy in front of a crowd like that." "Amelia, don't use your dirty thoughts to slander her." I looked at Lucas and felt amused. He hadn't changed at all. He just hid it well at first. I smiled leisurely and said, "Then you can keep taking care of her." "What do you mean?" "I mean we're breaking up." Lucas paused for a second but quickly laughed. "You're using breaking up to throw a tantrum at me. You know, I'm not interested in playing this game. Whether you're interested or not has nothing to do with me." As soon as I finished speaking, several bodyguards rushed in and dragged Lucas out. I crossed my arms and coldly watched him struggle. "You threw a party in my house without permission and made a mess. I'll let it slide this time. But if there's a next time, I'll call the police directly." Lucas angrily shouted, "Are you kidding me?" I interrupted him. You know the consequences of calling the police, right? I slowly walked over and leaned down to look at him. It will be reported to your school. No matter how hard you try to hide it, I'll make sure your name appears on all the school bulletin boards and even in the media. If you don't believe me, do you want to try? Finally, Lucas understood that I wasn't joking. He gritted his teeth, his eyes filled with hatred. Break up then. I'm tired of it anyway. Who would want to love an old woman like you? He sneered, his tone mocking. Look at you. Always dressed so old-fashioned without any vitality. What if you have money? I only feel happy with my underlings. I replied calmly, then take off all the clothes I bought you. The bodyguards immediately stepped forward and pulled off Lucas's jacket. And soon he was left in his underwear. I didn't bother with his curses and just said indifferently, Tonight you drank all the wine in my cellar, totaling 600,000. I'll send the bill directly to your school. I hope you pay it soon. Otherwise we'll meet in court. Amelia, you bitch. I raised my phone, pretending to call the police, and Lucas immediately shut up. I looked at him one last time, my voice cold. Get lost, you useless thing. After speaking, I turned and went inside, not bothering to look back. The early spring evening was still a bit chilly, but someone who treated money like dirt like him could definitely run barefoot back to school very quickly. Afterwards, Lucas officially started dating the underling. It was said that he even helped her apply for social assistance. The so-called social assistance was a program where some charitable business people in the school chose a poor student to sponsor their entire tuition until graduation. This program was very rare, with only one slot each year. The final round of the selection process was a face-to-face interview. That day, Lucas and his underling waited in the classroom. He confidently said, I have a good relationship with the student association. This time, you'll definitely get it. The underling bit her lip, her voice a bit soft. But we falsified the family background documents. That's not good. Lucas smiled and hugged her tightly. Don't worry, no one will check. He lowered his head and gently coaxed her. Everything has been arranged. Don't you trust me? While they were whispering, the other applicants entered the room one by one. Among them was William. He chose a hidden corner and sat silently by himself, his thin figure looking a bit lonely. The underling glanced at him and whispered, I heard that Senior Shen's family is really struggling. Lucas sneered. So what if he's struggling? Without connections and knowing how to play the game, this sponsorship will never be his. But he didn't know that all their words and actions had been recorded by a hidden camera and were being broadcast live to the office next door from the moment they entered the classroom. The sponsorship selection exam had begun, but Lucas still hadn't realized it and continued to smugly give advice. I've arranged your resume and background perfectly. There won't be any loopholes. Those rich people are too busy to check carefully. Later, when the sponsors arrive, you just need to cry. The more pitiful, the better. In the monitoring office, the principal wiped his sweat, his voice full of anxiety. Miss Song, I didn't know these two students were like this. I'll kick them out immediately. I crossed my arms and casually replied, No need. The interview can end now. The principal understood and nodded. Okay, please follow me this way. In the classroom, Lucas was still instructing his underling on how to act pitifully. Just then, the classroom door opened, and the principal stepped in, sternly saying, The sponsors have arrived. Lucas and his underling were immediately excited. Their eyes filled with anticipation as they looked towards the door. I calmly walked in, my eyes sweeping over them. Let me introduce you. This is one of the shareholders of the group, Ms. Amelia. Lucas's eyes widened in shock, unable to speak. I had only told him before that I had some personal business ventures, but I never revealed my connection to the group. He also never bothered to search for me online. The underling beside him gently tugged at his sleeve, curiously asking, Senior, is this the connection you were talking about? Your sister? Cold sweat started to bead on Lucas's forehead. Under his expectant gaze, the underling, following the script he had set, started to fake tears. But I just crossed my arms and calmly looked at her, then casually asked, What are you crying about? She froze, her voice choked. Miss Song, my family is really struggling. I smiled faintly. No need to act anymore. The interview is over. Huh. Kate, it's over. I turned my head and signaled to the staff. Immediately, the projector turned on, and the recorded videos from the surveillance cameras appeared on the screen. Everything they had just said, every word, was replayed in front of everyone. From the moment you entered the classroom, the selection exam had already begun. The principal was so angry that he slammed his hand on the table. He declared that students who deliberately falsified their circumstances to obtain the sponsorship would be held accountable, and the school would absolutely not tolerate it. The underling was stunned for a second, then burst into tears. This time real tears, not acting. I announced the list of students receiving sponsorship this year, which included a female student from the literature department. Everyone was surprised. She wasn't the student with the best grades. Compared to her, William seemed more suitable. But I had thoroughly checked the circumstances of each student. Without this scholarship, she would have to drop out next semester and return to her hometown to marry a middle-aged man, just to get the dowry for her younger brother. She worked and studied hard every day just to escape that cruel family. I saw her determination, so I wanted to help her change her fate. After signing the sponsorship contract, I spent another half hour dealing with apologies from the school. By the time everything was settled, it was late afternoon. I was about to leave, but as soon as I got into the car, a figure rushed over and blocked the front of the car. William, can you reconsider the sponsorship? I lowered the car window and looked at him. His voice was hoarse and a bit urgent. I really need this opportunity. Please reconsider. He didn't seem to be good at begging others. His hands clenched so tightly that his knuckles turned white. I shook my head slightly. The contract has been signed and can't be changed. His eyes darkened, and his voice dropped. I'm really short on money. I calmly replied. I know your mother is seriously ill. Before deciding on the sponsorship, I looked into the circumstances of each student. William's situation was indeed unfortunate. He grew up in a single-parent family, his mother raising him alone her whole life, never having a peaceful day. Then, when he grew up, she became seriously ill, and the medical expenses became increasingly expensive. William said in a low voice, I've used all my tuition and scholarship money for hospital fees. Without this sponsorship, I won't be able to continue studying next semester. I was silent for a few seconds, then replied, I'm sorry, but there are more than just 1 or 2 students in your situation. I've been doing charity work for many years. There are hundreds and thousands of students like you, with parents who are sick and don't have enough money for tuition or treatment. They're everywhere. William lowered his eyes, trying to hide the confusion in his gaze. At Lucas's birthday party, you said you were interested in me. I raised an eyebrow, feigning surprise. Did I say that? I forgot. He bit his lip, as if struggling with his own pride. If there's nothing else, I'll go first. Wait. Suddenly, William grabbed the car window as if he had made a final decision. Choose me, and I can do whatever Lucas can do. This was the sentence I had been waiting for. I curved my lips into a smile. Then I'll have to check first. William followed me home. To ease his tension, I opened a bottle of wine. Under the influence of alcohol, he gradually became bolder. He slowly reached out his hand to unbutton my shirt, his movements somewhat clumsy and hurried. I laughed, holding his hand. Not like this. Have you never been in love before? He froze, embarrassed. No, this is my first time. No wonder your actions are so awkward. Stimulated by that remark, he slightly tightened his grip, a flash of unwillingness in his eyes. Suddenly he leaned down, using his own lips to seek an answer, his breath hot, mixed with a bit of shyness but full of determination. I smiled softly, gently running my fingers through his hair. Take it slow. I'll teach you the right way. But before I could finish speaking, William had already leaned down, firmly capturing my lips, silencing any further words. His kiss was clumsy and rough, almost without any rules, but his breathing became increasingly rapid, carrying an indescribable urgency. It's often said that men have a natural instinct in these matters. William was the clearest proof. From his initial awkwardness, he quickly found a rhythm, becoming more proficient. His thin but strong shoulders carried the vigor of youth. He lifted me up and placed me on the desk where I handled my daily work. His hands slid along my back, picking up a pen and gently tracing it down. The cold metal of the pen touched my heated skin, making me shiver and tremble slightly. "Have you and Lucas ever been here?" I shook my head slightly, satisfied. He curved his lips into a smile, his deep, husky voice mingling with heavy breaths, becoming an intoxicating catalyst. I never tired of hearing his voice. "Not bad, you learn quickly." The next morning, William finally let me go. I slept in until noon, and upon waking, saw that he hadn't left yet. I asked, "Why haven't you returned to school?" He looked at me, his gaze deep. "You haven't given me an answer yet." I frowned slightly. What answer? The effects of the alcohol had worn off, and he had returned to his usual calm and composed demeanor, only his half-lowered eyes revealing a hint of shyness and caution. "Did I meet your expectations?" I smiled gently. "Yes, you did." I got out of bed, but as soon as I stood up, I let out a soft cry. My legs felt a bit weak, though I'd been with quite a few young men. William was one of the rare ones who left me unable to stand steadily. I turned to look at him. "Your mother needs money for medical treatment, and you need tuition and living expenses. From now on, I'll take care of everything. This afternoon, I'll arrange for your mother to be transferred to a private hospital directly into a VIP room." He gently clenched his hand, his voice slightly hoarse. "Thank you." I replied casually, "No need to thank me. Just do your part well. The more you do, the more benefits you'll get." William stayed silent for a few seconds, his gaze thoughtful. Then he leaned down, unbuttoned his shirt once again, and pressed me down onto the bed. "I get it now, youth really is something formidable." I ended up being involved with William longer than I expected. To my surprise, we actually got along quite well, like two soulmates who met too late. From being cautious and guarded, he slowly began to trust me. He often had trouble sleeping in his dorm, but when he was with me, he could sleep deeply and peacefully. News of Lucas and his junior faking financial aid documents had spread all over the campus. Too many people had witnessed the interview. There was no way for it not to become a hot topic. Rumor had it they had fallen out completely. The junior blamed Lucas for persuading her. Intuit said she wouldn't have done it if he hadn't instigated her. And now, Lucas had become an outcast. Both of them were officially penalized. The mark forever on their records, a stain that would follow them for life. Lucas still owed me money for the wine. With no other choice, he had to sell the gifts I once gave him to repay the debt. When William told me all this, I was helping him apply medicine, unable to accept everything that had happened. Lucas had taken out all his anger on William. He hit him, injuring him in the process. As I applied the ointment, I was furious, gritting my teeth in frustration. "I'm calling the police. I'm going to have him arrested." William quickly grabbed my hand, his voice calm. "No need to report it. It's not a serious injury. It's not about how serious it is. I just can't swallow this anger." He looked at me silently for a moment. I poked his cheek, annoyed. "Why are you zoning out?" He blinked, then said softly, "Are you angry because of me?" "Of course I am, you idiot." But William wasn't an idiot. He was just stunned. Growing up in a single-parent household with poor conditions, he was frequently bullied. School violence had become a regular part of his life. He was used to being pushed around, used to having no one stand up for him. This was the first time someone had gotten angry on his behalf. It was a strange feeling, like something quietly igniting in his chest. Bitter, yet sweet. Suddenly he wrapped his arms around me, lifted me up, and placed me gently on his lap. I struggled. "Wait, I haven't finished applying the medicine yet." But he didn't listen. He leaned down and placed a hurried, passionate kiss on my lips. His hand slid along my thigh, inching slowly beneath my dress. I shivered slightly, unable to suppress a frown. "William, what's gotten into you today?" He didn't answer immediately. His breath was somewhat erratic. his eyes hazy and confused. I don't know. I really don't know. His voice turned husky as he buried his face in my neck. It seems like only when I kiss you do. I feel better. The medicine bottle fell to the floor with a soft thud, but he paid it no mind. That hurried kiss, eventually swept up by emotion, deepened, becoming more fervent. A week later, I participated in a competition with William. He had a deep passion for road cycling, but, due to family circumstances, had never had the opportunity to try, always relegated to being a spectator. This time was his first as an amateur racer, even though he didn't own a professional bicycle. I had arranged for his entry and the bike was a gift from me. Though it was merely an exhibition match and his first time competing, his performance exceeded expectations. Holding the certificate of outstanding participation, he ran up to me, eyes shining brightly. Look at this. At that moment I was conversing with the organizers, among whom were a few friends of mine. One of them curiously glanced between us and asked, Emilio, what's your relationship with this competitor? Is he your boyfriend? He's quite handsome. While everyone was speculating, someone suddenly sneered, their tone dripping with sarcasm. How could that be? Just look at him, his racing outfit doesn't even fit properly. Would Emilia really take an interest in someone like him? I recognized the speaker. We had once been set up on a blind date, which I had politely declined. I'd heard he was quite prideful and still held a grudge over the incident. William lowered his head to look at the ill-fitting racing attire he had borrowed from a classmate. It was indeed a bit loose. He then glanced at the man in the impeccably tailored suit before him and instinctively tugged at the hem of his own shirt, as if trying to hide his sense of unease. I'll go over there first, he said, afraid I'd lose face. Turning to leave, but I grabbed his wrist tightly and pulled him back. That's right, he is my boyfriend. I pulled William in front of my group of friends, my tone full of pride. Everyone was stunned, especially that petty man, his face filled with disbelief. What's so good about him? I calmly replied. Everything is good. It's enough that I like him. Without needing to argue further, I said goodbye to my friends and pulled William away first. On the way back, he still didn't seem to have fully recovered. Sister, why did you say that just now? Say what? You said I was your boyfriend. I smiled lightly, glancing at him. Isn't that right? He paused, a hint of bewilderment in his eyes. I thought I was just someone who couldn't be made public. A kept man? He was silent for a moment, then nodded slightly. I stopped walking, turned to face him directly. Don't be insecure, William. You're a good student and have an excellent appearance. It would be a waste not to be my boyfriend. Besides, have I ever said you were just a kept man? His eyes flickered slightly. Really? I chuckled and nodded firmly. Really? You're the 12th younger boyfriend I've ever loved. That you're the one I like the most. His eyes widened as I pretended to have misspoke, quickly correcting myself. Oops, slipped my tongue. All right. In a few days I'll invite my friends over for dinner and introduce you to everyone. To me, boyfriend or kept man didn't make a huge difference. But for William, he yearned for respect. So I would give him that respect. Arriving home, the package I ordered had just been delivered. I looked at the box of clothes and handed it to him. Go, try them on. If you ever need clothes in the future, be sure to tell me. I can just borrow some from a friend for now, he said, glancing at the new jacket, his fingers unconsciously touching the tag. This is too expensive. I chuckled. The men I had loved before all liked to be bought new clothes. The more expensive the better. Only William, when I proactively bought them for him, found them too expensive. My fingers slowly traced his firm abs, my tone slow. If you think it's too expensive, then find a way to pay me back. William lowered his head, his dark eyes gleaming with contemplation. Then he raised my hand and placed a respectful kiss on my fingertips. I just finished competing. I'll go take a shower first. Okay, go ahead. But he didn't let go of my hand, his eyes sparkling with a hint of deeper meaning, as he said softly, shower together. Without waiting for my reaction, William bent down, scooped me up, turned around, and walked straight into the bathroom. This was probably the longest bath of my life. Every inch of my body was carefully tended to by him. Realized he was no longer the naive boy he once was. If before he only knew how to bury his head and use force, now he had begun to observe my reactions, experimenting little by little. Do you like it better here or here? Just a simple question. But his voice was like an electric current running straight into my brain. Clearly, we were already very familiar with each other. Yet he deliberately pretended not to know, intentionally making me admit it. As soon as I nodded slightly, he used actions to prove his wildness. Sister, among the previous 12, I'm the one you like the most, right? I almost subconsciously replied, that's right. The one I like the most is you. I didn't know how much time had passed. I leaned against the edge of the bathtub, exhausted, feeling as if my body was about to melt into water. But William still showed no intention of stopping. You just need to hold on to me. You don't need to exert yourself. I widened my eyes in surprise. There's more? He gently bit my earlobe, his low voice carrying hot breath. Yeah. Not enough yet. Actually, I've been thinking about this scene since daytime. I was momentarily stunned. Then his voice became gentle, softly whispering in my ear. When I reached the finish line and saw you waiting for me, even though I didn't win, you were still genuinely happy for me. At that moment, I looked at you and a strong desire surged within me. I wanted to keep you, wanted to give you everything that belongs to me. Having said that, he lowered his head, a little shy, but still kissing me deeply. I let out a soft moan, but he swallowed all those sounds. William himself didn't know what his words just now really meant. Not exactly a confession, but more than a confession. Initially, he only saw Amelia as a boss. He had never thought about being in a relationship with a woman 8 years his senior. He thought it would be very difficult. But from the very first night he was with her, he was surprised to discover the changes in his body and mind. There was no need to force himself. Desire naturally surged like a raging wave. All those uncontrollable moments of infatuation were not pretense. He liked seeing her face flushed, liked the moment she lost control in his arms, and also liked her usual calm and cold demeanor. He once thought this might just be the lingering effect of physical desire, or perhaps he simply liked mature women. And it was only when he met Amelia that this longing was awakened. But things had gradually gone off track. He and she were too compatible. Amelia was like a soulmate he had missed all these years. Their physical intimacy was inseparable. When they weren't together, he started to miss her. Miss her sharp eyes, her cold charm, even her tight dress, black stockings and high heels. Every time he thought of her, he had to take a cold shower. This was clearly very unusual. Sometimes, just sitting beside her, doing nothing, simply smelling the faint fragrance of her perfume. William felt that the world was beautiful. Until today, he discovered he was only the 12th. At that moment, the jealousy and possessiveness within him erupted. Am I the best? Does she like me the most? Those questions lingered in his mind, impossible to dispel. In the end, all those thoughts turned into marks on her shoulders, turned into whispers in her ear. He heard Amelia say softly, "That's right. The one I like the most is you." At that moment, his heart felt full to bursting, as if an electric current ran through his entire being. Even if he were to die right then, it seemed there would be no regrets. Amelia had bought him so many things. Suddenly, William also wanted to give her a gift, like a token of their budding love. He seriously calculated the 8-year age difference. Not too much, just right. He would try even harder, as long as she didn't think he was childish. That would be fine. William began to get busy. He took on extra part-time jobs, returning to the part-time work he had done before. He said, "I don't want to always spend your money. I want to earn my own money to buy you gifts." This was new. I had never met a younger boyfriend like this. Curious, I asked Emma, my best friend. As soon as she heard, she gasped. "Amelia, this kid wants to stick to you like glue." I raised an eyebrow. Huh? It's obvious he doesn't want to just be a kept man in your cage. I chuckled. Really? I thought he was getting bored, ready to take the money and disappear. I'm impressed by you, Emma said, half laughing, half crying. If he really wanted to run, he wouldn't have thought about buying you gifts. There's only one possibility. He wants to stand by your side openly and legitimately. I propped my chin on my hand, looking at her curiously. You understand this so well. Emma sighed, gently tapping her straw against the side of her glass. To be honest, my boyfriend used to be like that too. Just then, her boyfriend came over with a glass of water, a tall guy. About 1.8 meters. With undeniably handsome features. He had once been one of the young boyfriends who clung to Emma. And now he was her fiancé. Emma smiled, her eyes crinkling, and turned to him, saying, "Tell me, when you really liked me, what did you do?" Her boyfriend thought for a moment, then raised his hand, counting on his fingers. "Study, work to earn money. If I want to be worthy of you, I have to be capable enough to do that." Emma nodded in agreement. That's exactly it. She rested her chin on her hand, her eyes full of meaning. The way I see it, your little boy is entering the stage now. I chuckled, not entirely convinced. After all, William himself had said that an 8-year age gap was something even dogs wouldn't fall for. I had originally planned to eat with Emma and then go home. But midway through, she glanced at her phone and suddenly grabbed my hand tightly. "Amelia, is your little boy's name William?" I nodded. "Yes, why?" She didn't answer immediately, just pushed her phone screen in front of me. Her expression serious. "Look at this." On the screen was a live stream. A white-haired old man stood on a rooftop, his face covered in tears, holding a photo in his hand. His voice was hoarse and filled with pain. "Everyone, look carefully. This is my unfilial son, William. If I die today, it's all because he forced me to this point." The number of viewers in the live stream was skyrocketing. I scrolled through the comments and roughly understood the story. This man, claiming to be William's biological father, said that William was a cold and heartless person who didn't care about his family or his seriously ill older brother. This father had been driven to desperation and sought help, but William had avoided him and refused to meet. In the end, he had no choice but to climb onto the rooftop, using his life to force his son to show up. The name William quickly climbed to the top of the hot search list on the live streaming platform. The online community was in an uproar, full of outrage. Unable to tolerate this kind of unfilial son. Living in this world is a waste of air. Find him. Finance students at University A are waiting for the school to take action. I feel so sorry for the old man, forced to this point by his own son. Amidst the wave of anger, there were also a few more sober comments. I advise everyone not to rush to believe just one side of the story. There are many reversals online now. Just saying, this old man has been live streaming for quite a while, only talking badly about his son without any intention of moving forward. But these comments were quickly drowned out by the crowd. Have your consciences been eaten by dogs? The old man has been driven to this point. What's there to reverse? Truly the peak. You must be as inhumane as William. The public opinion was like a violent and merciless storm. Without further hesitation, I couldn't continue this meal. I grabbed my bag, ready to leave immediately. "Emma, before I go, I need you to help me with something." She nodded immediately, without thinking. "Got it." Emma and I had an unspoken understanding. Without needing many words, she knew what I wanted. Live streams like this don't comply with the platform's regulations. I'll try to find someone to shut it down first. I'm counting on you. 15 minutes later, I arrived home. William didn't have classes today. The apartment was dimly lit, the curtains drawn shut, the atmosphere a little heavy. He sat slumped on the rug, hearing me come in but not reacting. I didn't beat around the bush and went straight to the point. "Is James your father?" He raised his head, his eyes empty. "Yes." I was a little surprised because he had told me before that he only had a mother, no father. He clenched his fingers, his voice low and hoarse. "I lied. I'm sorry." I sat down beside him, cross-legged. "Tell me everything." He looked at me, a hint of surprise in his eyes. "Aren't you angry?" I smiled. Let me hear your explanation first, and then I'll decide whether or not to be angry. I'm very rational. I don't get easily upset. He was silent for a moment, then slowly opened his mouth. That man is a nightmare for my mother and me. I'm an illegitimate child. I nodded. That's quite common. You're an out-of-wedlock child. No, it's a bit different. He took a deep breath as if trying to suppress his emotions. My mother was raped. I immediately widened my eyes. I couldn't believe my ears and didn't dare repeat that word. He continued, his voice unwavering, as if this matter had tormented him for the past 20 years. When my mother was 18, she was raped by a man nearly 40 years old. She became pregnant with me. At that time, she had no money, no proper education, and didn't know how to protect herself. In the end, she just gave birth to me. His voice was too calm, but it was precisely that calmness that made the listener feel heartache. James has never cared about us, not even once. On the contrary, he threatened my mother that if she dared to ruin his family, he would drag both of us down to hell. He's an extremist, a man who could commit rape. How could he be rational? My mother was afraid he would harm me, so she took me away from that city and went to live somewhere else. I clenched my hands, feeling my heart constrict. Then why is he looking for you now? He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and then slowly said 2 words. Kidney transplant. My whole body went cold. I couldn't speak. He smiled faintly, but that smile only made my heart ache more. His son has end-stage kidney failure and needs a transplant. He wants me to get tested to find a suitable bone marrow match. If it matches, I have to donate a kidney to his son. I refused, so that's why today's incident happened. I said nothing, but my hands had clenched into fists. Could this still be called a human being? A dirty, despicable parasite with no humanity left. I tried to think of a way to deal with this, based on his actions in today's live stream. It was clear there was someone pulling the strings behind the scenes, very professional in creating public opinion. William nodded slightly, his tone heavy. I feel that way too. I looked at him, my eyes firm. What are you going to do now? He was silent for a long time, then sighed softly. I don't know. I once thought about standing up and clarifying, but doing so means I have to reveal the whole truth about my mother. I understand that for the older generation, reputation is a very difficult wall to overcome. And William loves his mother very much. He absolutely doesn't want her to suffer any harm. Sister, let's break up. His voice revealed an unprecedented weariness. My relationship with you is no longer a secret. Sooner or later, James will come looking for you. I don't want to implicate you, not even a little bit. I didn't agree with his suggestion. If the little puppy I raised gets bullied outside, I have to help it bite back, not abandon it. Emma had found someone to help temporarily block James's live stream, but he switched to posting articles and videos, continuing to attract attention. Every word was provocative, deliberately escalating public sentiment. I didn't believe there was no force behind him, but if there was someone pulling the strings, then it would be easy to deal with. 3 days later, the media company that accepted the order from James was exposed under pressure from the Tong Corporation. This company immediately announced the termination of its cooperation with James, losing external manipulation. James's posts began to show many contradictions. Netizens quickly discovered his inconsistency, his words not matching up, and the loopholes became increasingly apparent. But things didn't stop there. Under my encouragement, William decided to reveal the truth. He temporarily omitted the part related to his mother, but it was enough to sway public opinion. At the same time, we reported to the police. Fortunately, James himself had pushed things too far, prompting the police to quickly launch an investigation. In less than a week, the police released an official announcement, and the whole truth was revealed. Everything William said was true. Apart from blood relations, he and James had no other ties. Over the past 20 years, he had never called him, not even once, and had never provided a single penny. That live stream was just a staged act to force William to donate a kidney. Not only that, James was also accused of a series of crimes, orchestrating and manipulating public opinion, spreading false information, fraud and deception, exploiting public sympathy, and was especially under investigation for allegations related to rape. The entire social network exploded. Those who had once sided with him and condemned William now turned to shame and anger. The whole affair, from beginning to end, lasted just over a week, not a long time. But only William understood how difficult it was. The suspicious gazes from classmates, the scolding from netizens, the malicious comments that were enough to exhaust anyone just by reading them. He still had to force a smile in front of his seriously ill mother, worrying about every little thing, afraid that she would learn the news and be heartbroken. That week had almost completely drained his strength. That afternoon, when the police announced the final investigation results, he could finally take the burden off his shoulders. But we didn't expect that this matter wasn't truly over. James was detained by the police, and his son no longer had any hope of getting a kidney transplant. On Friday night, William went to his part-time job at a restaurant, not expecting an uninvited guest to appear. It was a middle-aged woman with eyes full of hatred. She ordered a bowl of hot soup. When William brought the soup to the table, she looked up coldly and asked, "Are you HM Than?" He was completely unguarded and subconsciously nodded. "Yes, that's me." The next moment, the woman suddenly went crazy and splashed the entire bowl of hot soup on him. I walked into the restaurant just in time to witness this scene. The boiling soup poured down, scalding his neck and the back of his hand. His skin immediately turned red in patches, but the woman hadn't stopped. She rushed to the next table, grabbed a plate of food from a customer's table, and threw it straight at him. Rice, vegetables, and sauce splattered everywhere, creating a mess. The whole restaurant was stunned, but no one dared to stop the woman as she screamed shrilly, her voice full of bitterness. "What right do you have to refuse to donate a kidney to my son? Now you even want to put my husband in jail, you bastard. You owe my whole family. Your mother must have seduced my husband. Otherwise, why would he have looked at her?" The dirty words were so vile they were unbearable. I couldn't take it anymore. I strode quickly towards her, raised my handbag, and swung it straight into the back of her head. The crazed woman staggered from the blow and stumbled forward. She spun around, her eyes wide with fury, and yelled, "Who are you?" I smiled coldly, lifted my chin, my eyes as sharp as knives. "I'm William's girlfriend," she sneered, her face full of contempt. "Someone like him have a girlfriend?" Before she could finish speaking, I didn't hold back and slapped her several times hard across the face. Slap, slap, slap. One slap for your shameless behavior. One slap for your dirty words. And one slap for everything you've done to William. The woman was caught off guard and screamed, clutching her head. Seeing that she couldn't fight back, she turned to run. But how could I let her escape so easily? The moment I entered the restaurant, I immediately sent a text message to the police. Just as she rushed out the door, the police arrived in time. Intentional disruption, assault, she also has to be detained. Having dealt with the police, I immediately turned back to find William. Seeing him sitting silently, his eyes empty and unresisting, my heart ached. Damn it, my little puppy has retreated into his shell again. Strands of vegetables and egg from the hot soup clung to his hair, and droplets of soup slowly dripped down, sticking together in clumps. He was so dirty, so hurt, the burned skin red and swollen. The restaurant was crowded, including his colleagues, but no one came forward. They all just stood watching from a distance, whispering. In the few days he had been working part-time, William had clearly felt that even though the police had clarified the truth, people still didn't want to get close to him. Humans are inherently complex and contradictory creatures. Online, they cursed fiercely, but in real life, they chose to stay away from trouble. He heard the whispers. "Maybe we should fire him." "That's right. If we keep him here and run into trouble later, what then?" To be honest, I still don't completely trust the police's conclusion. Who knows? A father could be forced to that extent. Couldn't he have been a little at fault? She, keep it down. Don't let him hear. Angry, uncomfortable, and ashamed, He was like a lonely island surrounded by the world, but with nowhere to belong. Just as he was about to lower his head and leave, a hand reached out and firmly grasped his. "It's me. Does it hurt a lot?" I looked up at him, my eyes filled only with pity and heartache. I immediately took him to the hospital. Fortunately, the burns weren't too serious and wouldn't leave scars. Afterwards, I went with him to the police station to give a statement. The police asked him if he wanted to mediate. William turned to look at me, his eyes hesitant. "I'm very conflicted. James was wrong, but she insulted my mother." I squeezed his hand and said softly, "No, she was also an accomplice." He listened silently. "James ruined someone else's life and she blamed the victim. That's aiding and abetting the evildoer." Hearing this, his eyes brightened slightly, and he slowly nodded. In the end, he decided not to mediate. When we left the police station, the night sky had become quiet, the bright moon hanging high. I asked, "What are you going to do about this part-time job?" He smiled softly. "Quit. Anyway, I just received an internship offer from a major securities firm. I was planning to quit next week. It's a prestigious financial group, where even outstanding students have to compete fiercely for a chance to get in." I looked at him, my eyes full of sincerity. "Congratulations. From now on, you'll have to wear a suit and tie every day, right?" He chuckled softly. But then, as if suddenly remembering something, he took a small box out of his pocket. Opening it, inside was an exquisite necklace. I immediately recognized the brand. Its price was not cheap at all. William said, "I saved up money from my part-time job to buy this for you." I was surprised and then laughed. What a coincidence. I've been liking this design lately, and was planning to buy it tomorrow. With that, I took off the old necklace around my neck and leaned my head towards him. He carefully raised his hand and put the new necklace around my neck. His hand still had the red burn marks, and his eyes shone brightly, as if they held the entire starry sky. "Do you like it?" I took his hand, smiled, and replied, "I like it very much. Let's go home." In the quiet of the late night, William suddenly woke up from a nightmare. I sat up and poured him a glass of water. "Sorry, did I wake you?" "It's okay. I don't have to go to work tomorrow." "What nightmare did you have? Tell me about it." He hesitated for a moment, then shook his head. "It's nothing." I narrowed my eyes at him. "Even if you don't say it, I can guess." He chuckled. "How could you possibly guess?" I said softly, "You dreamed that your mother abandoned you, didn't you?" His eyes froze and he looked at me in surprise. "I told you, I can guess." "How do you know?" "Because I understand you, William." I gently touched his face, my voice soft but firm. "You always feel like you shouldn't have appeared in this world. You see yourself as the reason your mother has suffered. The thing you fear most is that even your mother might not need you anymore. From childhood to adulthood, you worked hard in your studies, always behaving obediently, just to make her happy, right?" He trembled, his breathing becoming more rapid, clearly emotional. "Completely right." I gently stroked his head, my voice still calm but warm. "Those worries are unnecessary. Your mother is a very great woman. She loved and raised you, making you the excellent person you are today." In the darkness, he said nothing, just quietly rested his head on my lap, letting me gently stroke his soft, short hair. His voice rang out softly but full of conflict. "Sister, I always have a very crazy thought." "What thought?" "If I got rid of half the blood in my body, would I become cleaner?" I froze for a moment, then immediately squeezed his hand tightly. "You are already very clean." He paused, his breath catching in his chest. The next second, I felt something warm and wet fall onto my thigh. It was his tears. My little puppy buried his face in my lap, crying silently, his voice trembling but sincere. "Amelia, thank you for understanding me. Emma once said, when a younger guy stops calling you sister, that's the sign he's completely fallen in love. Since William started his internship, he rarely calls me sister anymore, only occasionally. In bed, when he's teasing me on purpose, does he softly say it once or twice. Our lives gradually settled down. People like James finally stopped bothering us. But I didn't expect that one day. Just as I stepped out of the company after work, I would run into a familiar face. Lucas. He was standing by the roadside, talking to William. That day, William had come to pick me up. He was dressed neatly in a suit, tall and lean, his long legs standing out in the crowd. The two of them didn't seem to notice me. I circled around behind the company door and happened to overhear part of their conversation. Lucas's voice carried a tone of disdain. "Amelia only treats you like a dog. Do you really think she loves you?" William didn't react much. He simply gave a faint smile and said, "Even dogs fall into two kinds. Those who are cherished, and those who are abandoned." Lucas's voice suddenly became more agitated. "Look at me. Don't you see how I ended up? Being in love with a woman like her only leads to a tragic ending." William raised an eyebrow, curling his lips into a cold smile. 28 and you're calling her an old woman. So what, are you planning to die before 30? Lucas was immediately rendered speechless, his face flushing red with anger. Damn it, what kind of spell did she cast on you? How could you be so blindly infatuated? William replied calmly, "You're the same. But I'm not like you." "Then why did you come to see her?" Lucas stammered, clearly flustered. I just wanted to get back together with her, right?" William's nonchalant words cut through his guilt like a sharp blade. "I didn't," Lucas blurted out, stiffening. "I don't care about her anymore." But before he could finish, William coldly interrupted. "Ever since I've been with her, I've always wondered, how could you ever let her go?" His voice was steady, filled with unwavering certainty. "She's such a good person, intelligent, rational, and deeply understanding. Tell me, is there anyone better than her in this world? If you hadn't been so foolish, there never would have been a chance for me to step in." Lucas's face twisted in frustration. His teeth clenched. "Did she buy you or something? She's just got a bit of money." I couldn't stand her arrogance. William gave a faint, mocking smile. "If you had money, you'd be even more arrogant than her." Lucas was at a loss for words but stubbornly continued. "She's also got this awful habit whenever things don't go well at work. She lashes out. Can you really tolerate that?" William's gaze softened, and his voice grew gentle. "Even when she's angry, she's still adorable. Everyone under pressure needs a way to release it. There's nothing wrong with that." Behind the door, I quietly curved my lips into a smile. My little puppy has truly grown up. 22. Lucas was so furious he nearly lost control. Gritting his teeth, he snapped. "She sometimes acts like a lunatic when she's not satisfied." As soon as the words left his mouth, he realized his mistake and quickly shut up. William let out a faint smile. His tone was calm, yet as sharp as a blade. "On the contrary, I think she gets tired too easily. I care about her, so I don't dare to go too far. It's not her fault, Lucas, if you're not capable enough. Don't blame the woman." That line struck like a knife to Lucas's pride. His face turned red with rage as he almost shouted. "William, weren't you the one who once said, even a dog wouldn't love someone with an 8-year age gap? Have you forgotten?" This time, William didn't respond immediately. He just stared silently at Lucas, then suddenly opened his mouth and said, "Woof." Lucas was so infuriated he nearly passed out. Time flew by in the blink of an eye. And soon William had graduated from his 4th year of university. We had been together for 2 years. Since the 2nd semester of his 3rd year, he had started his own business and built a solid financial foundation. But compared to the Tong Group, he still had a long way to go. On the day his mother was officially discharged from the hospital, I brought out an old contract and agreement about our relationship. It stated that until his mother was discharged, either party could choose to end the relationship. William stood frozen, taking a few seconds to process it. He staggered, almost unable to keep his balance, and gripped my wrist tightly, his voice trembling. "What do you mean? End it?" I looked him straight in the eyes and enunciated each word clearly. "This is what you personally wrote 2 years ago." He practically shouted. I was just a clueless kid back then. "Are you seriously going to leave me?" I kept a calm expression, but my heart ached deeply. After a few moments of silence, I spoke coldly. "William, I'm going on a blind date. He suddenly went quiet, as if he couldn't believe what he had just heard. His eyes widened, empty and stunned, staring at me. His lips trembled, but no words came out. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice as steady as possible. I'm 30 years old now. To secure my place as a shareholder in the Tong Corporation, I need a man who can support me. And right now, you're not capable of doing that. Last month, my father brought up the topic of marriage. In the Tong family, I have an older brother and a younger brother, both are more suitable heirs than me. Everyone thinks I'm just a woman who can't accomplish anything. But I refuse to accept that fate. I want that position. Between ambition and love, I can't have both. After a month of thinking, I've finally chosen my ambition. William was nearly shattered. He clung to me like a drowning man grasping for air. I can help you. Just give me a little more time. Once I finish this project, my company will grow stronger. Then I'll be able to support you for sure. I looked at him gently and whispered 3 words. It's too late. The truth was, I didn't want to leave him either. Among all the younger men I had dated, he was the one I had stayed with the longest, long enough that I had started to see him as a real partner. But no matter how I felt, my career would always come before love. William let out a cry like a wounded animal. I'm begging you, just a little more time. Just a little more time. I took a deep breath and shook my head softly. I'm sorry, but I have to keep moving forward. I can't stop. As soon as I finished speaking, he suddenly lunged at me, tearing my dress not like the gentle moments we had shared before. This time, he was rough, desperate, almost feral. He left marks on me, one after another, as if doing so would keep me from leaving. But I understood he was just trying to hold on to something he knew he was about to lose. Thunderstorms and tempests, I accepted them all. We clung to each other through the night, neither of us sleeping, until the first light of dawn broke through. I left quietly. A blind date isn't a romance. It's a transaction. Every meal, every glass of wine, every conversation revolved around benefits, never about feelings. An agreement was made. I got married in a flash. Please don't be surprised once I chose to chase ambition. I had to accept everything that came with it. On my wedding day, someone told me that William had come. But I never saw him. Or perhaps, I did see the silhouette of his back. After half a year apart, he had grown in a way that was terrifying, like roots plunging deep into the earth, absorbing everything at a mad pace, rising relentlessly. He advanced faster than anyone could have predicted. 6 months into my marriage, I finally became the largest shareholder of the corporation. My relationship with my husband, there wasn't much to say. I knew he was scheming against me, but that was fine. This marriage had always been based on interests. If he'd stayed in his lane, I could have pretended not to notice. But he was too greedy. He wanted a piece of the pie I held in my hands. He didn't understand if it weren't for this piece of pie, I never would have married him. He wasn't even worth a single finger of William's. Wait, why am I thinking about him? I rubbed my temples, feeling a bit tired. This strategic game is finally nearing its end. Today, either I win or my husband loses. There can only be one victor. In the shareholder meeting, the air was so tense it felt suffocating. No one wanted to back down. My husband calculated every move carefully, cornering me with each step. He was nearly certain he had the upper hand. Just as he was about to deliver his final blow, the conference room doors swung open. A cold, slow voice rang out. Sir, you might want to prepare a crisis management plan. I looked up. William was standing in the doorway. My husband froze in disbelief. Then, in the next moment, his phone and the phones of his subordinates began ringing one after another. Non-stop. His family company had just been hit by a massive scandal. Their latest product was accused of plagiarism and consumer fraud, becoming the target of a firestorm of online outrage. He turned to William, eyes wide with fury and horror, his voice trembling with rage. It was you, wasn't it? You're the one who set this up. You're Amelia's ex-boyfriend. William neither confirmed nor denied it. He simply gave a faint smile. A soft breeze swept through, stirring the curtains as he took slow, deliberate steps toward me. At that moment, I was suddenly reminded of the day he competed in that cycling race. He was just as full of fire and determination, racing toward me at the finish line. He knelt on one knee in front of me, his eyes steady and unwavering. "Can you divorce him now?" My husband, or rather, my ex-husband, was drowning in crisis, surrounded by the media, with stocks plummeting. On the day we signed the divorce papers, he was so furious he pointed a trembling finger at me and roared, "You planned this from the beginning." I blinked and feigned surprise. "You're only realizing that now. Shouldn't you have been a little smarter? Or maybe keeping too many mistresses has drained your brain?" He was so angry he nearly raised his hand to hit me. But I casually tossed a stack of photos onto the table. They were images of him with his mistress, each one clear, each step of his infidelity recorded. I gave him a knowing smile. "If you don't want these to end up all over the media, I suggest you sign the divorce papers quietly." His face turned ghostly pale. His jaw clenched tightly. But in the end, he didn't dare make a move. In the end, I got the divorce papers. Not only that, he had to pay me a massive hush fee to buy back those photos. Our whirlwind marriage ended in the blink of an eye. People gossiped and laughed, saying I was a joke in the business world. But I didn't care. William didn't care at all. What era are we living in that people still mock women over marriage? He scoffed, with the excitement of a puppy showing off its achievement. He beamed at me. I did well, didn't I? I burst into laughter and gently ruffled his hair. "Very well, no doubt about it. You truly are the one who's been by my side for 2 years. I leaned in and pressed a kiss to his lips. "William, you've always been the best." He smirked and whispered softly into my ear. "That's because I was taught by the best." In 2 years by my side, he had learned a great deal. Clever, sharp, ruthlessly precise without leaving a trace. A dagger hidden beneath a veil of innocence. He pulled me tightly into his arms, guiding me down onto the sofa. His kisses came in waves, crashing down relentlessly, filling the living room with chaos. Then he lifted me in his arms, striding toward the bedroom. With each step, his burning breath pressed closer to my skin. Was he the 13th? His husky voice broke the silence, low and rough. It took me a few seconds to realize he was talking about my ex-husband. "My little puppy is jealous again." I chuckled softly, wrapping my arms around his neck and whispering into his ear. "No, he wasn't. I felt dirty just thinking about it. I never let him touch me. You were the last." For a moment I felt his firm chest tremble slightly. The shadows in his eyes melted away. He lowered his head and buried it deep in the curve of my neck, his voice low and pleading. "Did you miss me?" I trembled, lips parting gently. "Yes, I missed you too," he whispered back. "I missed you to the point of madness." His voice was low and husky, his scorching breath brushing against my ear. "You know, every time I miss you, this is what I did." His hand guided mine from his firm chest downward. Slowly. "Do you feel sorry for me?" The air around us felt like it was being stretched taut. We surrender ourselves to the night. To each other, every desire repressed over the past year erupted in that very moment. Under the dim glow of the bedside lamp, I saw his eyes reddened, like a wild beast yet to be satisfied. "I love you. I love you. I love you, Amelia," he repeated, like a vow. I gently stroked his sweat-drenched hair and whispered, "I love you too." Later, I told William that when I decided to marry so abruptly, I had already been prepared to divorce. My original plan had been to become the largest shareholder, then divorce and come back to him. He looked a little surprised, his eyes filled with wonder. "So, I was part of your plan all along?" I gave a slight nod. "Yes." "Then why didn't you tell me sooner?" I shrugged with a faint smile. "If I had told you, you might have let your guard down. And you wouldn't have grown up so quickly. You also wouldn't have cooperated so perfectly in our counterattack." "You know," he said, "I was heartbroken for a whole year." "Well, serve you right," I teased. "You were the one who looked down on me back then." His mouth dropped open, a look of utter grievance on his face. "When did I ever look down on you?" I narrowed my eyes and slowly enunciated each word. 8 years apart, even a dog wouldn't fall in love. At that moment, I saw his whole body stiffen. You heard that? Yep. Lucas forgot to turn off his mic that day. I heard every single word you said. He pressed his lips together, guilt flooding his eyes. I was wrong. That line, I only said it to mock Lucas. I saw him buying gifts for a younger girl, even though he already had a girlfriend. And it really pissed me off. I swear, I never meant to belittle you. I laughed and shook my head. I know. It's all in the past. Back then, when I first heard him say that, I didn't have a good impression of him. I thought he was the type of arrogant, careless man who flirted just for fun. That's why I initially approached him with the same mindset, just to play. But the more I got to know him, the more I realized he wasn't like that at all. He deserved to be cherished. Suddenly, William pulled out a diamond ring and dropped to one knee in front of me, bathed in the warm glow of the setting sun. His voice was low and resolute. Will you marry me? I was momentarily stunned, then calmly asked, have you thought this through? I'm 8 years older than you and a divorced woman. Without hesitation, he gripped my hand tighter, his deep gaze unwavering. I've long since made up my mind. None of that has ever mattered. He lowered his head and placed a kiss on the back of my hand. Amelia, please let me love you forever. That afternoon, the sunset blazed across the sky, just like the day he once stopped my car. I smiled softly, gazing into his clear, sincere eyes. Yes. Thank you all for listening. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to hear more great stories as soon as they're released.